Welcome back to Celebrity Radio. It's Alex Belfield talking to some of the country's biggest stars and some of my favourite people. And we've got one for you today. Described as the teenage Pavarotti, Jonathan Antoine is one of my favourite guests. He's the star of Britain's Got Talent who went on to have a #1 album in the classical charts and stayed there for 3 weeks. He's been on tour and he's back with a brand new album called Believe for 2016, recorded with the wonderful London Studio Symphony. And I'm delighted to say he joins us on the phone now. How are you?
Hello, I'm great. How are you?
Do you know, I'm not bad for my age, but I look at you and what you do. It's really remarkable, isn't it? I mean, that voice seems to get stronger and stronger. And unlike an athlete or any other part of show business, being a model or anything like that, it's only going to get better, isn't it, with age?
With luck and with good training, hopefully that'll be the way it goes. And thank you very much.
My pleasure. I guess for you, when you wake up in the morning, do you do that cough thing? Cliff Richard told me about this. He wakes up and goes, is it still there?
Yeah, I do. I do like a little, kind of a pseudo yodel, you could say,
yeah.
Just to make sure everything's still in position.
What is it for you? Is it a muscle that has to be exercised every single day, or is it something that you could just have a sort of sip of Evian and stand on a stage and do it?
It's kind of somewhere in between. I'll be completely honest. I have certain things that I like to do. Before I go on stage, I like to eat a hot meal, just gets everything sort of working and lubricated, as you'd say. I can do without it. I can survive and without rituals and stuff.
Do you get into all that stuff? I once whistled in a dressing room with a big star and he hit the roof, asked me to leave, turn around 3 times, come in, knock the door 10 times and all of this stuff. Do you get involved in any of that? Because it can be quite debilitating and distracting, can't it?
Yeah, not for me. I just try and keep things as simple as possible. I just like somewhere decently quiet to try not to freak out before a show.
Could you still get nervous? Are there audiences that would intimidate you, or at this point are you confident enough to almost take on any audience?
In a way, I'm always nervous when it comes to going out and performing. I'm always worried that I'm going to screw something up, but I'm down to tackle anything. I'd love to perform for one person. I'd love to perform for millions. I just love doing it. I love doing the thing that I love. I love singing.
And we look at this new album. I mean, it's got everything on it from Ave Maria to Bring Him Home, which you do beautifully. And then, of course, proper arias, proper classical music that are sung beautifully. I love the fact that you don't try and fake it with this album. A lot of people bring them out and they sing stuff that, frankly, anyone can sing at karaoke. This is a proper classical album. Well done for that, because it's a brave move.
Much appreciated. Well, thank you. Yeah, we really tried to get some strong classical stuff on this album. Stuff that, yeah, as you say, can't just be thrown out by anyone.
Tell me about the language issues. I mean, I struggle to speak English on most days, and here you are singing and there you are singing fluent Spanish and Italian, and an extraordinary gift that to do it. How do you learn these songs, phonetically, or do you speak Italian fluently?
I hardly speak English, as you can clearly tell from me trying to start that sentence. But yes, I learn them phonetically and then apply meaning and look up the meaning to the words. And for a lot of stuff, I've sort of learned what the sort of translation from the page to speaking is, like where double C's sound like CH's and CH's sound like double C's and stuff. I sort of know the tropes of the language, but I don't know the actual language.
It's interesting, isn't it? I spoke to Russell Watson about this before, because of course he's a northern boy that has got all the lingo and that stuff, but when he sings it's just so mellifluous. I wonder for you how long that took, because it could sound silly. I mean, if I try and pronounce Canta per me or Chegelda Menina, it sounds silly, but the way you do it, it doesn't.
The main thing is that I really like doing accents. It's essentially just that. If you can kind of nail the accent, a lot of the other stuff is forgivable.
I see what you're saying. So it's all about faking it and pulling it off with charm. Is that the thing?
Exactly. Much like everything in the industry.
Yeah, everything in life, really, isn't it?
It's true.
What pressure is on you now to be successful? Do you care about that, or is it about performing? Because with somebody with your gift, I guess whether you're performing to 50 people or 50,000, the art of singing is exactly the same.
Yeah, and I strive to make sure that regardless of how many people I'm performing to, I can maintain that the level of performance that people deserve. The pressure to be successful only really comes from me, in as much as I'd like to survive. I'd like to eventually be able to buy a house and live my life based on music. But yeah, a lot of it again is for the fans. This album is for sure for the fans. The song selection is stuff that I know that they'll love and stuff that I love. So I found a decent balance, I'd say.
When we last spoke, our interview had an extraordinary reaction, and I was amazed that it went around the world, and your fans are very vocal about defending you. They're incredibly loyal, aren't they? And they're totally on your side. You can't buy that, so well done, because you've obviously touched them in a way that few do.
It is remarkable, the way that some people react to what I do, and I'm so thankful for that. But whilst they will defend me almost to no end, they have minds of their own, and they know if I were to be in the wrong, they would know. And that's the thing I appreciate the most, honestly. The fact that they are free-thinking people who they understand the world and understand themselves and me.
We spoke last time very openly and honestly about my battle with weight, which continues through my entire life and it will never stop. And I know you've been very honest recently in interviews about your mental health and struggles. Firstly, how are you right now?
I'm feeling really good. I'm a little bit tired, but that's exclusively my own fault. You
weren't out partying last night, were you?
No, I just I'm not the greatest of sleepers, and last night was a particularly bad example.
Well, it was interesting. Yesterday was a big day. There you were at St. Pancras, and you did this wonderful live concert, which I think even surprised people from your own company as to how many people cared and turned up and stood and watched you. I guess those moments are difficult because the people watching you yesterday were travellers going on Eurostar and East Midlands trains and not necessarily expecting to hear a world-class classical singer. Must have been an extraordinary experience.
Oh, thank you again. But it was amazing for me just to get out there and just sing for whoever wanted to pass by and stop. And as I sang more songs, more people sort of just gathered around, and it was great, and it was very strange. Not your standard classical concert, but it was so much fun. I'd love to do something like that again. I actually found it super enjoyable. The fact that it was so off the cuff. We didn't do any rehearsals prior. We didn't have a sound check or anything. It was literally we turned up and Ian played the piano and I sang. And I kind of really like that because I get quite nervous when it comes to the preamble and the waiting around to do stuff and specifics and logistics. So to just do something so randomly, so out of the blue, it was really fun.
The album's called Believe, and this is something that's very important to you and your fans. Belief. Now, I wonder whether this is a spiritual thing, a religious thing. What is your belief?
I believe primarily in the human spirit and the idea that love and goodwill can conquer all evils of the world. Which is a grandiose statement, but it's what I believe. I think that through unity and through coming together as people and understanding that we are all incredibly complex and dynamic creatures, I think through that there can be peace and there can be love between all types of people.
I don't think we've ever had a year where we've been more disenfranchised and people have had more anger towards each other. Where are we going, do you think, as a society? Are we ever going to overcome the issues, whether it be terrorism or Brexit or all this other stuff that to me is so negative? That's why I've stopped watching the news. I just find it so disheartening and displeasurable. I don't like it, therefore I've stopped. To me, if you're going to be negative around me, I don't need you in my life. Is that your theory too?
Yeah, I mean, I've never watched the news really because for me it's always been that way. It's pointing out the negatives. There's something, yes, a strange agenda therein where it seems almost geared towards negativity, where I think overwhelmingly the reality is that actually the majority of things happening right now are positive. They might not be the things that are being reported on, they might not be the things that are in the public eye, and they might not even be the things that you know about.
Yeah.
But they are certainly happening, and there is beauty and strength in the world constantly. There's so much division between us as a species, and I think it's pointless. There's a pointless division between all of us when it comes to political decisions, all this kind of stuff. And I've been saying that I think we're headed towards a renaissance in the way that we perceive and create media. But honestly, I think we're already there. I think we're in the midst of our society, the way that the framework of this world is built. I believe that we are on the route to changing that, and I can only hope that it's for the better.
Why do you think people like negative more than positive? I noticed they launched a positive newspaper this year, and it lasted about 6 weeks and went bust. We look on social media, people are far quicker to call people out and call them names than they are to compliment. That's the same with all those review websites. Of course, people will complain before they'll say it's wonderful. Why are we like that? Where does that come from? Is it an internal unhappiness that people have?
It's a very tough question, really. It's myriad reasons. I think in some cases for each person it's different. Some people harbour a certain amount of negativity, and it spreads naturally, because that is the nature of negativity. When one person feels bad, another person will feel bad for them feeling bad, and so the cycle perpetuates itself. I think that I don't think it's in. It may well be in human nature to be like that, but I think it's also in human nature to be incredibly hopeful for the future.
Mm-hmm. And what have you learned about yourself? I know you've had tough times, which you've talked about very openly, which is refreshing, and you've been very real about your demons. How do you get yourself out of that? Because there are people listening to us now who feel depressed or feel down and don't see any light at the end of the tunnel. What is the key to recovering from those periods in your life?
There is no singular key, and there is no quick fix or answer that I could give anyone in that kind of situation. The reality is that seeking help and talking to people honestly and openly, and creating an open forum in which you can really understand the way that you feel and the way your brain processes information, I think that's incredibly vital. I think that in a lot of ways people they don't understand how to feel. They're never taught it in a way. And the only way you can truly learn that is by experiencing things and reacting to them in your own specific way. But a lot of people will simply copy the reaction of someone else. They'll see someone who feels a certain way about something, and they'll say, oh, that must be the right way, and their word is gospel. The latest thing that they've heard is gospel.
I think for me, one of the most profound things was being present. I read a book once about how we spend our lives doing one thing, wanting to do something else, and then getting to that thing and then wanting to be somewhere else. And actually, you only really evolve when you're present and you're there and enjoying the moment. And if you look around, almost we're missing life. You go to a concert, they're busy filming it, they're not watching it. It's extraordinary, isn't it?
It is. In some ways, there's a certain beauty to it in the fact that a lot of this will be archived for millennia to come, and people maybe thousands and thousands of years from now will be able to see that, vertical film of whatever concert from whatever crazy night all those thousands of years ago. I think that's very interesting. But yeah, in a lot of ways people are missing reality and having a hard time adjusting back into it because they're so used to living in this digital world.
And then we look at you and your health. We spoke about this last time. It's a constant battle for me. I know you've struggled too. How are you doing in terms of weight and health now? Are you on top of that?
I'm trying my very best. It's tough, particularly when you're in the middle of creation. But yeah, I think overall I'm doing fairly well with it. I'm not losing weight at an alarming pace, but I'm not gaining it either. Yeah, I'm fully aware of that, and I'm making conscious changes to make sure that I keep living and I don't die in 20 years.
Yeah, you must, because people love your voice, and this new album is certainly a testament to that. Will you be going out performing this? I noticed there's some dates on your website. Are we going to see a full tour? Because that's really where you're at your best, isn't it? Singing live.
Oh, full tour. The phrase is "watch this space." There's nothing official yet, but there are talks in and around.
What do you like to do when you're not singing? Do you love seeing other performers? Do you love the cinema? What do you like doing when you're not doing this?
Not a lot, to be quite honest. When I'm not out doing this, performing and singing and doing interviews, I just sit at home. I just sit at home and try and enjoy the simple and normal life. A lot of things bring me incredible joy. I mean, my girlfriend, she lives in Canada. She's a constant source of happiness for me. Broader than that, just looking outside and seeing people continue to live and survive and go about their days in spite of everything that happens in the world, in spite of tragedies, in spite of everything. The fact that people continue, the fact that society continues, the fact that we prosper is inspirational to me.
Yeah.
And yeah, that brings me a lot of happiness on a day-to-day basis.
Is it tough having a long-distance relationship? Because I suppose with Skype and with iPhones, it's easier now than it ever was, but it's still, there's nothing like human contact, is there?
Yeah, it's certainly tough. And yeah, it's certainly easier now, but yeah, aside from making long plane journeys, yeah, it's tough. And I went to see her last month, and yeah, that was great. And she's been here numerous times.
Is there any way of explaining that joy when you're together?
To put it simply, no. But I can certainly try. It's just she just relaxes me. She makes life a little more calm, a little more organised. She makes my head feel a little more organised. I'm quite ADHD. I jump around a lot, and she makes me feel a lot more on the straight and narrow, I guess.
Oh, how lovely. And is there any plans that you'll either move over there or she'll come here and you can be together permanently?
She'd really like to come here, and we're sort of working on it, but it's a very lengthy and costly and difficult process.
If you don't mind me asking, how did you meet?
Essentially, she's a friend of a friend. My friend met her on back in the day of the internet. There were these random chat websites where you would be matched with a completely random stranger. My friend met my girlfriend on one of these websites. About a year later, I started talking to her. I mean, this is almost 7 years ago now.
Wow.
And yeah, we sort of hit it off from there, and we had like an on and off thing for a few years, and only fairly recently, last year, I can't even remember, she finally made the jump and came to visit.
How does it feel when she watches you perform?
It's great. She just looks on with you can tell what when someone looks at you with love and with just good intentions.
Yeah.
And I feel that a lot. And yeah, I'm very lucky and very happy.
Wow. And what a lovely place not to be judged, because that's what we all want in life, people who just want us for us.
Yeah, just the unconditional. It is great.
When you listen to yourself on CD, as we hear in this new album, Believe, can you believe it's you? Because it's such an extraordinary voice. They call you the young Pavarotti, and I can see why. I mean, you're not faking this. You were born to sing, and that's a gift, isn't it?
Oh, thank you very much. I mean, it's all been the product of working on it, and I started off, in high school, just singing. The first song I sang was "Where Is Love" from Oliver, one of the first ones, with my really high voice when I was young. And yeah, it's just been the product of a fair bit of hard work. Honestly, I do believe that anyone could very well do what I do with the same amount of work.
No, I don't think so. I think you've got an extraordinary gift. I think to say that I could sound like you is ludicrous. It's just not possible. You will brain and work it. But no, I couldn't sound like you, Jonathan. Let's not be silly.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I do appreciate that.
I love talking to you. You're one of my favourite people on the programme because your fans just adore you, and it's not surprising. You've got a wonderful talent and a gift that you share with the world. And this new album, it's out now. You can get it via Amazon. Believe, the new album. Let's just very quickly talk about the orchestra and recording it at Air Studios as well. I mean, no greater place, and what a fabulous orchestra to bring this music to life.
Oh man, recording that album has been just incredible. I mean, the way that we did it was completely different to anything I've ever done before. So we had the London Studio Symphony in the room whilst I was recording demo vocal takes. So they were basing their performance on mine, which is usually the complete opposite. So it was, entirely unique. And once we came to do the full vocal, there was already this spark of performance and spark of life in there.
Well, it sounds wonderful. And I guess the feeling of standing in front of that roar of the orchestra, there's nothing like it. And for an artist like yourself, you can't buy that.
It is remarkable, absolutely, to hear how all those instruments that have their own incredibly unique sound come together and create this one block of just massive, it's lush, it's beautiful, I love it.
Congratulations. The new album is out now. It's called Believe by Jonathan Antoine, and always great to talk to you. Thank you so much, and big success in the future.
Thank you so much. It's an absolute pleasure to talk to you. Thank you.